Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tether Radio, the only podcast keeping you from spinning out into the infinite abyss. My name's Daniel, and I'm coming at you from Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm joined today by my brother and cohort, Joseph. You want to say hello?
Hey, what's up, guys? I am coming to you today from Atlanta, Georgia.
Rock and roll. How's the weather down there?
Man, it is. It's beautiful. It's rainy. There are constant lightning strikes, so I might go for a jog. We'll see.
So it sounds like a good idea. So
yeah, dude. Yeah, probability matters. So
yeah.
we'll test that whole struck by lightning thing.
Nice. All right, man. Well, dude, according to the docket, we've got quite the show planned for today, right?
Yeah, I think that we're going to be painting with a pretty broad brush, but that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, man, you want to get us kicked off here?
Yeah. Here we go. So, maybe you're one of those people that has an animal, a male animal, that you've had to have neutered. Well, you know, some people can think that is detrimental to the animal's psyche.
Yeah.
And one such individual was a man by the name of Greg Miller.
Where does Greg live?
Ooh, that's actually a good question, man. I'm actually not 100% sure. I can have that shortly, but
Okay.
But anyway, so Greg Miller decided to take it upon himself to develop prosthetic, implantable testicles for animals. And these bad boys were dubbed neuticles. So yeah, man, this came up on another podcast that I was actually listening to, and I was like, dude, I want to check into this shit, and I want to bring it to Tether, man, because I'm one of those people. Obviously, both of us grew up out in rural Tennessee, so it was like,
right.
You know, PETA doesn't have a large presence there by any stretch.
Right.
Most of the time, if people didn't want animals, they would leave them on the side of the road. I'm not advocating that by any stretch. But it was just animal treatment, the way that we were raised is, I mean, they're just that. They're animals, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a I guess, if you put it a different way, you're probably not giving your farm animals like Rorschach tests.
Well, exactly, man.
Right.
So, this Greg Miller guy, he had this dog. It was a bloodhound, I believe. And it ran away for like multiple days, and there's actually a really good, I believe it was CNBC did an interview, and his dog ran away for like multiple days, and he like on the interview he's like, and we'll post the YouTube link, but he's like, oh, don't mind me, I might tear up a little bit talking about it. All right. His dog runs away for a couple days. Well, come to find out, the reason the dog ran away was it had caught the scent of a female dog. So
not uncommon.
Not uncommon. And so he's like, okay, well, you know, I need to have my dog, you know, neutered. So he has the dog neutered, and when he's in there talking to the vet, he's like, you know, I'm sorry, a little bit after the dog, he takes the dog home, and the dog's like trying to clean itself or whatever, and he said that basically the dog like looked at him, like looked down at its crotch and like looked at him and was like, he just saw this like emotion of just like, I don't even know, I forgot exactly how he described it. He was like just like sadness basically, and like something was missing. And so he goes into the vet, and he starts talking to the vet, and he's like, hey, do they make prosthetic testicles for dogs, I mean, is that something that exists? And of course the vet's like, Greg, you're a fucking lunatic. What are you talking about? But he's like, at the same time, he's like, oh, the vet was like, oh, this is never, in my 45 years of practice, this has never come up. So Greg decided to
what year is this?
I believe this was 95.
1995.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
1995.
So this
is not old. I mean, this is not new. This is crazy.
No, and dude, the thing is which, I mean, like I said, it would be a cold day in hell before I would even check into like doing this for one of my animals. But I mean, hell, I don't even have any animals, but
right.
If I did, it would be a cold day in hell. So anyway, he ends up developing these things, and actually at this point, he is currently a millionaire due to neuticles.
So these things are their size. They go from extra small to large.
Mm-hmm.
The extra smalls are $139. The large are $169. Mm-hmm. They sell them for felines as well. Wait, did I read this right? Yeah. Small are $129. Extra small are $129. Small $139.
Mm-hmm.
They sell them for what is this? Okay, hang on. They have polypropylene, which are rigid, or natural soft solid silicone, and those are $339 for extra large.
So check this out. There's actually some pretty crazy technology in these, but it was kind of funny because in the interview they're talking about like these pet owners buy neuticles, have them implanted in their animals, and the early prototypes of neuticles were this really, really like hard plastic. And so he started getting complaints that when the dogs would run around, their neuticles would clack together.
Oh my god, dude! That is like that's the wish position of every human male, right?
Right.
Is that
it's Joseph's coming when his clacking nuts are audible
at a full sprint? It sounds like a drum roll.
Oh my god! But
I mean, dude. There's so many questions. There's so many questions here, but first of all, you go to this guy's website. It definitely looks like Web 1995. Like he's not changed a lot since he started conducting business.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that it's really interesting that so many people have gone for this, man. Like what?
Oh, dude, and it's fucking global. Like on the website, they have a currency converter.
It's really amazing. Really amazing. And they've got quotes. Oh, here we go. They've got quotes from The Daily Show, News Enterprise. Rush Limbaugh says, "Neuticles are just plain neat."
I saw that.
Idaho Statesman, Paul Harvey. What?
Dude. Yeah. It's some straight up crazy shit.
Yeah, but this dude's made an entire business of this. He's got, what else does he have here? He has Allerfade, that is a breakthrough technology for pets suffering from painful allergy-related irritation. Mm-hmm. He's got Scargon for getting rid of scars on your pet. I mean, this guy has made a
dude, he's a one-stop shop for your pet needs, man. He's gonna put PetSmart out of business.
He's gonna. Well, right. I think PetSmart is probably winding down the pet. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah. Well, I mean, just your pet's kind of self-improvement, mental self-improvement area. I mean, it's just. It's crazy. It's crazy. I find all of this exceedingly hard to believe.
Well, so one last thing, and then we can totally move on from this. Even though I'm sure there's plenty of stuff to talk about. It also in the CNBC interview, apparently, well, it was asked what's the largest animal that neuticles were developed for, and he actually made prosthetic testicles for an elephant.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, right. Or I thought you were going to say either that or a blue whale.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, dude, it's just, I mean, it's some crazy stuff, man. I don't know. We live in a crazy world, to say.
I mean, clearly, I guess. Well, I don't know. I guess this is up for debate, really. I was going to say clearly, but I guess it's up for debate. I mean, so, you know, I mean, animals, you know, like having a bad self-image, like, I don't know. That doesn't really seem to play, but I don't know. What do you think?
Dude, so it was actually kind of funny. Like, you know, you do a little digging on their website, and of course they have at least a couple studies that they were like, oh, you know, we found that. I want to get this so that I can make sure to quote it correctly. Here we go. Study reveals traditional animal castration has psychological effect. And
on the animal.
On the animal, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
but I mean, I wonder. I mean, that's I would. My question would be: is that because of the aesthetics, or is that because the hormone?
Well,
you know,
dude,
but
changes? And that's the other thing is it's supposed to have a psychological effect.
Right.
That's like half of. Well, I don't know about a half. I don't know what percentage, but I mean that's the reason you get dogs neutered. Or animals neutered is so that they're not trying to, you know, be dominant and piss all over everything, and you know, all I'm sure a slew of reasons, but yeah, I mean, it was just like real quick. The 2-year study, which included the testing of monkeys, involved fully castrated animals and animals neutered with neuticles, testicular implants for pets. Mm-hmm. Those animals with testicular implants exhibited significantly higher levels of self-confidence, self-esteem, and courage, as opposed to those participants who had previously been altered, lacking implants.
I mean, that seems like a pretty clear projection, but I don't know, man. Maybe it's a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a thing.
Yeah. That's some crazy shit, man. Some crazy shit. But,
all right, well let's
anyway.
switch gear. Let's switch gears here for just a second. One that I wanted to chat just briefly about here. Yeah. So did you happen to catch? And I believe this was last week, if I'm not mistaken. This was June 4th. But the headline says, in narrow decision, Supreme Court sides with Baker, who turned away gay couple. So do you remember this a few years ago? There was a guy. I think in Colorado, who had a gay couple requested that he make them a cake. Mm-hmm. And I guess the guy refused to make this gay couple a cake, and he was sued. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so this case, that was 2012, I think, right?
Okay.
And so what is that? 6 years ago, 6 right?
Years, yeah.
So now that case went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, and I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, a 7-2 decision, which is not really a narrow decision, as the New York Times says here.
Well, and that was actually something I was going to ask you. Is there a different definition of narrow?
Yeah.
Like, what is is that referencing the number of judges to, or I guess, for and against?
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, okay. maybe everybody was on the fence, and then, you know, whatever. 7 were just barely over the fence, or whatever. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure how they've come up with 7-2 being a narrow win. But yeah. I definitely think this is interesting, because I mean, it sounds like, you know, we're getting ready to take a hard right turn here. I mean, first of all, sure, man, gay couples should absolutely be able to get married. I mean, that's fine, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's really interesting that, you know, a business, I mean, you walk into most businesses and they say, we, you know, reserve the right to refuse service to anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, you see these signs kind of placed up. I just think it's really interesting that that a lawsuit like this could even go to the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I think that's interesting is because a private business, right? I mean, this is not a publicly traded company. This is not, you know, really anything even on par. This is like a dude who owns a cake shop.
Yeah.
And this guy just saying, for whatever reason, I mean, you know, no, I don't want to bake this cake. I think it's interesting that that the thought was that like you could force this dude to do something. Now, I mean, on the other side of that, it's like if the people in this Colorado community say, hey man, we're not cool with you not baking cakes for gay people, for gay couples, and then they stop patronizing his business. Like, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that seems to be the way to let something like that play out. I think it's really interesting, and I think I'm probably, you know, kind of showing a lot of my you know, maybe ignorance in terms of like the legal process and maybe, you know, what laws they were suggesting were broken. But it's like if somebody who owns a little donut shop or a cake shop or a, you know, gutter company or whatever, I mean, mm-hmm. if they want to, you know, not do business with certain people, I think it's shitty. I think it's stupid. I don't think it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. I don't know really why you would do that, but it just seems like, I guess the way that I would put it is if they wanted to harm their own business by doing something that's going to be hugely publicized for whatever reason, it just seems like they, you know, that's like pretty black and white. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think that it kind of, and I can't remember if we touched on this the last episode or not, but I think that it kind of comes back to the First Amendment stuff that I know if we haven't talked about it on the show, we've talked about it, you know, whatever.
Right.
Just whatever. And I think it's one of those things that you have the freedom of speech kind of thing and all that jazz, but you're not free from the repercussions of what you say or your acts or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so, I mean, I you know, I think that it's a stupid business move personally, you know, but if he, and didn't he cite like religious reasons?
I think so,
or something like that. And and I thought not to go on a tangent or too tangential. Anyway, not to go too far on a tangent.
Right.
But so the other thing that I know or I read in the article is they were saying that it wasn't that he was refusing them service of a good that was art, like he wasn't refusing the sale of a good. He was refusing to make something for them, kind of thing. And so somehow that played into the judge ruling.
So it
was almost seen as like art, like creation kind of thing, as opposed to a gay couple coming in and him being like, "Hey, I'm not going to sell you these pre-made donuts that I, you know, baked this morning."
So the latter would be illegal.
I believe so, because I mean, I think that would fall under discrimination shit, right? And I mean, I'm totally with you in regards to I'm probably I'm 100% showing my legal knowledge, ignorance kind of thing, but yeah. I believe
I think that's really interesting, man. I mean, if you want to do something that's going to fuck up your business, mm-hmm. like, you know, I mean, I guess it's easy for me to say because I've never, you know, been in a situation like this where somebody said, "I don't like your hair, you can't buy this," or whatever, you know. Yeah. But I just think that allowing, you know, kind of free market forces to be at play. I mean, I think you would have to be an absolute moron to just willy-nilly be discriminating against people with your business. Like that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah.
However, if you want to do that, whatever, I guess. I don't know though. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's like this legal argument that's like a much more slippery slope that I'm not seeing. There probably is.
Well, and I mean, dude, me and you are like complete and utter proponents of capitalism. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Let the free market judge.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's one of those situations that it's like, I mean, I don't know. I think that I would struggle to if I owned a business, then I would struggle to make a decision, in my opinion, like this. Just because, I mean, like you said, man, it just has the potential to really rock your customer base. So especially living in such a liberal state, you know.
Well, and right, and I
mean, in regards to, I guess, the gay marriage stuff and like whatever.
Yeah, and maybe the other part that I'm not seeing here is like, I mean, I can imagine how insanely just absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? Just completely offensive. Mm-hmm. That would be for this couple.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, a gay couple married my wife and I, right? So, like, I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, man, I'm family friendly, like I'm down, but I just think it's interesting, like in 2018, if you're doing like stupid shit like denying people service because they're gay or because of their ethnicity or because they're, you know, whatever, they're Sikh or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a really dumbass thing to do, but at the same time, you know, if that's how you want to roll, like, you know, fine, man. I mean, I think you should be able to you know, kind of sell whatever you want to sell to whoever you want to sell to, I guess, and so long as you've got the business license to do it and all that, you know.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. But yeah, dude, it's I think that it's interesting that we are dealing, like you said, with shit like this in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to be reaching a tipping point where, you know, the whole you know, I don't know. I mean, I think our generation's a little bit different. Like you know, I'll just use this as an example. I mean, I will frequent like maker spaces, you know, like places where like a hacker houses or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a place in LA called Null Space that I used to spend a lot of time. There's a place in Atlanta called Freeside. And this is a totally tangential story, but it's like just to kind of illustrate the fact, I guess. And so anyway, I walk into this place yesterday in Atlanta, and you know, I'm like looking at some of the tools that they have, because it's like, I like these places because they have, you know, they have like server stacks, and they have, you know, like woodworking tools, and they have like, you know, car lifts and stuff. So it's just kind of like a general hacker space.
Yeah.
And there's like this I walk in, and there's this clearly trans person in there. Who is making like kinky whips, you know? And it was just funny because it was like, I was telling the story afterwards, and I thought, man, that's pretty random, you know? That's like when I say kinky whip, I'm saying like fetish whips, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's random as shit. And I was like telling the story afterwards. I was like, it's totally random. But I just think our you know,
did you place your order?
I did. Hold on. No, I'm doing it now. No, but my point is, I didn't really register it until I was like telling the story afterwards. And so like, that's a super, super, super extreme example. But my point is that in you know, in our generation, you see two dudes holding hands walking down the street. I mean, who gives a shit? You know, you see like, I don't know. So, you know, you look at the demo on this guy, he's like a 65-year-old dude who is highly religious and whatever. So I think we'll see like much, you know, lower occurrences of this kind of stuff, you know, as our generation, kind of inherits these types of diseases.
Takes the wheel we'll say.
Yeah. I mean, the sex whip in a maker shop's a super extreme example. But my point is that I just don't think that, the things like, I don't give a shit if what this person, wants to call themselves or, what makeup they want to wear, what they want to make. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, as long as somebody's like not in your shit, let them do whatever they want, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, if you want to tell somebody like, hey, you can't make your whips in here or whatever, that's fine. Suffer the consequences. But you should definitely be able to in my mind, at least, as somebody who owns a private business, decide who you deliver your services to. I don't think it's a good move. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it's incredibly stupid, but, if somebody wants to sink themselves, it just seems like they're not very competitive. They're not thinking of it in terms of competitive advantages and whatnot. So
I completely
Anyway, so tell me a little bit about video games and rehab, my friend.
So I saw this article and I was trying to remember. Oh, so I actually pulled this from today. So Fortnite Battle Royale, I would say that if you're listening to this podcast, you have probably at least heard of it. What it is it's a battle royale mode, which is all the rage right now, which means that they basically drop a bunch of players into one large map, and you have to pretty much kill everybody else until there's one man standing. It's like King of the Hill for whatever video games kind of thing,
Okay.
So this is actually Fortnite came out a little bit after what's known as PUBG, or PlayerUnknown's Battleground, and it was kind of deemed one of the first of the battle royale stuff. But Fortnite has just kind of moved ahead of it, and it's gotten to the point to where apparently some little girls are playing entirely too much. So this story specifically, according to the Mirror, this 9-year-old girl would play Fortnite for up to 10 hours a day, and she'd play through the night and end up falling asleep at school.
Okay.
So,
and what state is this in?
That is a good question. I'm assuming this is actually
overseas.
Overseas, because they cite the British pound for something. But
got it.
But anyway, so it got to the point to where she was so addicted that she would sometimes wet herself instead of leaving the game, kind of thing. She attacked her father when he attempted to confiscate her Xbox. They'd found out that she was basically stealing her parents' credit card information to purchase Fortnite microtransaction stuff, and that was when they said she was spending about £50 a month. And so it carried on to the point of where her parents were like, okay, enough's enough. We want to put her into rehab or whatever. So this is absolutely insane to me. Like, and this actually came after another article that I read about I believe it was a Taiwanese man that sat in a video game cafe kind of thing,
right,
for like 3 days straight, and basically ended up slumping over and dying from, like, I think they said it was heart failure, but because dude, this guy was like 32 or something like that, Which dude, you can die from.
You gotta have some shit wrong with you anyway. True.
But it's like this massively sedentary lifestyle kind of thing.
Right.
Dude, when you sit for long periods of time, you're asking for a DVT, or deep vein thrombosis, which is basically a blood clot in your leg that you throw and end up with, some real shit on your hands. Let me put it that way.
Right.
But anyway, so so after her parents decided to throw her into rehab, her mom has decided to drum up. Well, I guess she jumped on the bandwagon for this petition that was started a few months ago that demanded Epic Games, who I believe is the developer for Fortnite, to literally stop like this game, like
right,
pull it from the market, kind of thing.
Right.
I think that is I think this article is absolutely fucking like crazy, because in my opinion, this has nothing to do with video games. In my opinion, this is fucking parenting. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a shit. Like, okay, she was playing damn video games all night. Well, so how did her parents not know? Okay, let's say she had a TV in her room. Take the fucking TV out of her room. Okay, she fights her dad over a damn Xbox or whatever. Well, dude, I think that there's bigger problems to be had. You know?
Yeah. I mean, but come on, man. I mean, personal responsibility is dead. Like, and it has been for a while. And I'm sure these parents are shitbags. And, well,
I guess it's just, it pisses me off because it's like, being a pretty avid gamer myself, it pisses me off because everybody looks for, I would liken this to everybody looking for a pill to fix your problem. Like, oh, I can't sleep at night. Take a pill. Don't address like the fact that you eat like shit. You never actually set up good sleeping patterns and stuff, and you don't exercise at all. Screw that. Don't even look at that. Just give me a pill for it. And I think that's everybody looks for the slowest moving target or the easiest acquired target kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I would think it's absurd that they're not gonna, they're not gonna.
Dude, they're making entirely too much.
Yeah.
Money.
Well, and there's no way. I mean, I was just like clicking through a couple of the little sublinks here, and there's one to like change.org where the petition lives, and in the comments somebody says, "My friends at school talk about this too much. Their grades are slipping. They're throwing their lives away." So what is this, like a fifth grader? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's just, yeah, man, whatever, not to sound so old school, but where the fuck is the oversight, man?
Well, no, and I guess that's I mean, I think that it's ridiculous, first of all, that, I mean,
the parents are like, well, yeah, you just go ahead and do it. I'm really tired. Well, then stop playing it. Well, it's I'm really upset with what Fortnite has done to my life at 11. Well, honey, I mean, spin up a petition. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's just one of those situations that I'm just like, fuck, man. It's like anytime there's a school shooting or something, they're like, well, have you guys seen the video games lately? Right. My God, they're so violent. Yes, they are violent, but you know what? That's why they have the ESRB to rate games, so that the really violent games shouldn't be in the hands of kids under the age of 18 or 17 or whatever the hell the cutoff is.
Right.
But I mean, it's one of those things that, like you said, dude, accountability is like nobody has it anymore, and it's just instead of actually looking to the source of the problem, everybody just wants to treat the symptoms, kind of thing,
Yeah. I don't remember, like, when we were kids, I don't remember there being a huge conversation about go outside or whatever, turn the TV off and go outside, because I feel like that wasn't really a problem. Mm-hmm. But nobody wants to solve their own shit, for sure. Sure. But I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Then we talked about this a little bit earlier, and we'll talk about it on a subsequent episode. But I think we're going to see a lot more of this, and I think it's going to get to the point where UX, the actual experience of users, kind of teed up by certain user interfaces. I think that's going to be legislated.
Yeah.
I really can't get that out of my head. I mean, there to a certain extent, there are, I guess I'll give a brief counter. To a certain extent, these games are absolutely designed to hook you, for sure.
Oh,
and
dude. So let me stop you real quick. So I'm sure you've heard of the game Destiny. Right.
No.
Or have you? No?
No, tell me.
Well, so Destiny, which I actually played entirely too much of this, but Destiny was a first-person shooter that it was marketed as this MMO, like massive multiplayer online, and it was like an RPG. You could literally sink thousands of hours into it, kind of thing.
Right.
And then some stuff started coming to light, and because they started diving into the loot box and like all of that stuff, and this randomly generated loot award system.
I remember this.
Yeah,
And was it gambling or something along those lines? Right?
So Destiny, yes. Because Destiny had this, it had this thing called the Eververse that you would buy little packages with real money, and it could have an array of different items in it, kind of thing. And so if you lucked out, you'd only have to buy like 2 to get what you wanted. If you were really unlucky, you could spend hundreds of dollars and still not have what you wanted, kind of thing.
Okay.
And so it was just one of these things that, like, now they're trying to decide whether or not it needs to be legislated. Oh, you can't have loot boxes because, like you said, is it gambling, kind of thing. Because you're spending real money, you're not guaranteed anything.
Right.
In particular, well, I mean, I guess you're guaranteed like a number of items or something like that. But yeah, so it was one of these things that, like, it always makes me hesitant once legislation is, starting to get drummed up, because you've got people making decisions about things that they have no fucking clue about, in my opinion.
I'm definitely not saying, like, if I worked in the video game industry now, if I worked in, I guess, more kind of consumer-facing technology now, I guess particularly in video games, I'd get well ahead of this, man, and start, some group that's like, a responsible design group. And I do it just to show legislators as it came out, that the industry was thinking about it, and now we have the opportunity to kind of get ahead of this and work with legislators who don't know shit about shit to design something that is kind of somewhere in the middle that can allow video games to still be fun and engaging. Digital consumer products that are mostly digital, things like Facebook and Snapchat and all that, Instagram. But then can where the working group could actually work with the legislators to like find some middle ground. I think the problem is that if I guess I couldn't really compare it to, I don't know. I mean, like, I guess in my mind, it is like the job of the alcoholic to not buy alcohol. That is like, this shit is available. Can you walk into 7-Eleven and get it? Sure, but there's got to be some sort of personal accountability that comes into play. Yeah. So I just think that, like, this space, I mean, dude, nobody's taken this shit seriously. No, until now. No.
Well, so, and I accidentally derailed myself earlier. So it came to light that Activision, who is the publisher for Destiny, actually had, like, psychological, like, studies so that they would basically be able to, like, for instance, in this game, your players are called Guardians or whatever.
In Fortnite?
No, I'm sorry, in Destiny.
Okay.
So if Guardian 1 has some kind of microtransaction item, then the matchmaking for the lobbies would be determined by what items these people had to basically influence other players to sink money in to get those same items.
Okay.
And I mean, there was a straight up, like a flow chart, a psychological flow chart that ended up surfacing for this stuff. So I mean, this is like straight up, predatory.
Yeah, but dig
stuff.
this shit. Mm-hmm. Take a stab at how much Destiny made in the first 5 days.
Oh, dude, I mean, I think it was the best selling.
$325 million.
Yeah.
In the first 5 days.
Yeah.
And they're saying that it cost about $500 million to make and market the game.
Yeah.
Dude, $500 million. Fuck yeah, they're doing these deep dives, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's like this shit is, but I think people just don't take it seriously because it's like a video game, but it's like, man, I mean, you know, these people clearly they're not fucking around, man.
Oh, dude, it's straight up fucking psychological warfare, man.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. All right, so moving from a sorry, a little background noise there. I had something that was loading up on my computer. Moving from a young woman who is addicted to video games, we're gonna go to the world's oldest person, right? Mm-hmm. So this lady, I'm going to mess her name up here, but I think it's Koku Istanbulova, right?
Uh-huh.
According to this article.
She's not American, is she?
No.
I'm just kidding.
And she lives in Mississippi. She lives in Idaho. But she has celebrated, according to local records, her 129th birthday. Okay.
129.
129. So that means she was born 1889. She was fucking 55 when World War II ended.
I mean, dude, I'm scrolling down through here. She looks like she's seen some shit.
They look like they fucking dug her up, dude.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. But
you know, honestly, she kind of looks like the actress that was on Drag Me to Hell. That was like
Well, funny you should say that, right? Because her thing is that she wishes she wasn't alive. It says the headline is "World's Oldest Person Celebrates Her 129th Birthday, but Still Wishes She Was Dead." Okay, so I'm going to take a hard right turn on this article, right? A hard right turn here.
Yeah.
First of all, she says, this is the quote, "I've not had a single happy day of my life. I'm tired. Long life is not at all God's gift for me, but a punishment." Yeah, dude. I mean, so anybody who's like rosy outlooks will get you there. I don't fucking think so, man.
Jeez, dude. That is insane.
But okay, so dig this. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and they were talking about, age being a disease, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, basically, and a disease that we may be able to solve one day, right? Okay. And we kind of started chatting about this idea that if that happens, a lot of what humans have been able to create, or the idea of what humans have built, like that's going to change dramatically in the long run. This was my opinion, at least, because it's like the sense of urgency that people like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or just creators in general feel, right? Like, why do we get up and do this podcast? Like, why do you have to do it today as opposed to tomorrow? Yeah. I think a lot of that's like linked back to this idea that you're on like a certain timeline, right? And so
it's linked back to mortality.
Yeah, man, and that it's like you're here for a good time, not a long time, or whatever the fuck the bikers say.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting, man. 129 fucking years. I don't know. Would you? What about you, dude? Would you be interested in a 129-year run?
Dude, I would be interested in euthanizing myself at that point.
I mean, dude, if I'm not mistaken, reading this, let's see, I think she's outlived
all of her fucking children. The last one died in 2013.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's serious shit, dude.
Her last kid died 5 years ago. Why is she still alive?
Still plowing forward, man. Still plowing forward. But anyway, I just think it's
crazy.
129 years old. My God. That is so crazy, man. so crazy. But anyway, okay. All right. So I'm going to bring us home with this one here. Okay. So I asked you to read this article, wanted to chat about it briefly, and then I wanted to float a theory by. So the article was on second and third order cause and effect, right? Mm-hmm. And the general concept here is, when you do anything in life, when you take action in any direction, or whether you don't take action, when you make a decision, right? Even if so making a decision is default in life. Even if you're like a couch potato and you do nothing and you're, quote, lazy or whatever, that's still a decision you've made, right? Theoretically. Mm-hmm. And so anything that you do in life, because decision making is default, right? There's no way to get around not making a decision, right? Yeah. Even choosing to not make a decision is a choice, is a choice. Or I should say to put off making a decision or whatever, is making a decision. And so from these kind of first order occurrences, these first order decisions, you have second and third order items that obviously happen, right? Mm-hmm. Like, for example, you go to bed and you leave a candle burning and you say, well, I'm not going to put the candle out because I don't want to get back up. Okay, well, you've made the decision not to put the candle out, right? Well, your house could burn down, right? Mm-hmm. your house could burn down and it could kill, your dog or whatever, right? Like, I mean, there are second and third and many orders of linked events that kind of
brings to question, are neutered flame retardant?
All that would be left of your dog are two steaming neutered.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, that's it. And I suppose you could put those on a charm bracelet or whatever after. But okay. So you read the article. What did you think? Let me just get you to kind of restate it back to me and get kind of your first at first kind of brush here, because I think the article I sent you was a military article, right?
Yeah. So it's really funny because I swear, even before you sent this to me, I feel like I'm a very analytical person.
Right.
And so in my free time, like if I'm showering or brushing my teeth or whatever, and I have some bigger decision to make kind of thing, I will literally have a conversation with myself. Mm-hmm. And figure out, okay, if I say this, what might they say? What if they say that? What might, which kind of made me think about this, because it's one of those things that it makes you or not it makes you, but let me think about this real quick. So it basically brings to light thinking past the first degree kind of thing, or the first order, like you said,
the first action.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
And so what they're saying is, okay, instead of looking at stuff with a very close up, or I guess tunnel vision, we'll say, for instance, like, oh, I'm hungry. I go down to the refrigerator and I see a healthy snack, and I see whatever, some garbage piece of like cake or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, I want that cake.
What kind of cake is it? It's German chocolate. It's got all the nice fixings on top. Just get nice toasted coconut. Son of a bitch. Just a little bit. You could have just a little bit. Nobody would know.
I feel like I'm battling my conscience right now.
Nobody would know. Nobody would know.
And then next morning you get up and you're like, you're a fat pig, you idiot.
Yeah.
You gave into the piggy talk. No, I'm kidding.
But that's really what it comes down to, that it's like, okay, I can have the healthy snack, and then by eating the healthy snack, I feel better, and when I feel better, I want to go do more things. I want to, I want to go exercise. Or you can go down that path, or you can go down the cake path. The cake makes me feel like shit, so I sit on the couch. Well, by sitting on the couch and eating really shitty, I get fat. Well, by getting fatter, it starts...
By getting fatter, my wife dumps me. Then I have no choice but to steal a car from Hertz and head out to Vegas. And then I meet the stripper, and she insults me, so I have to kill her. Yeah. No,
and then you're living out like very bad things or something like that, you know? It's just like, exactly, it's a fucking slippery slope is what I'm getting at. No.
Yeah, but you're, okay, so exactly. So that's the exact thing here. Okay, so you want to hear my theory?
Yes.
I think that intelligence, right? Like a high IQ is reflective of being able to make a decision and process multiple orders of what that decision is going to affect. So, and I'm saying like when
so
you're learning,
you think intelligence is correlated with like complexity of thinking?
Complexity of like the task that you are executing, what that means in a much larger context. So, like, let me put it a different way.
Okay.
I don't think that someone who is really good at calculus or someone who like understands physics at a huge depth, like an astrophysicist or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're thinking, you know, in terms of, I think they're thinking in a much, much, much broader context, which if we were going to define that, would mean these multiple orders that are affected by this one thing that is being executed against.
Yeah.
And I think generally, like, that is general intelligence, is being able to layer the task at hand over like what it means in context.
Yeah. So this is kind of a well, it's definitely an example.
Sure, complex thinking, but I'm trying to dig in and like define it just a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, so just I guess an example of this that Megan and I actually did a few years ago was that we wanted to get into hiking more, but we both drink coffee. And at that point, we both had, you know, coffee, sugar, cream, all that jazz. But it's like, oh, well, but if we go camping or whatever, and we need to, and we want to make coffee, then we have to fuck with, like, creamer and, like, sugar and whatever sweetener, anything like that. So it's like, we basically weaned ourselves off of that shit to make camping easier, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were going to go straight to urine. So you're like, because if we go camp and we get lost and they can't find us for 5 days, I got to be drinking piss.
Well, no, but you can run it through a coffee filter and then you basically have a piss-filled coffee filter.
That's it. Piss with a zing. Available at your local food mart.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's I guess in some context, like that's what I'm talking about, right? Like when you drink and drive, like when you do things that aren't smart, right? That aren't really good decisions. Like it's like I don't think that I don't know. I just think that in general, if you looked at the IQ, kind of groupings of IQ, I think that you would see that, I don't know, man, people that skew high would be able to kind of work through that and just kind of, and it's like built intuitively into the decision that they're making. So I don't even think that they know that they're doing it, but I think that it's like, whatever.
So do you think this can be taught? Do you think this is an innate thing, or?
Yeah, sure. I think it can. I think it could be taught for someone that it doesn't come to intuitively.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that potentially that they could like approach where someone else is, that it just comes intuitively to?
No, I don't think so. But I think that you could say, and I think we see this like expressed, right? Like when you see an anti-drunk driving thing where they're like, you could lose your car and you could be charged $10,000, and you lose your girlfriend, and you lose your apartment. Like, I mean, I've seen, a couple of ads like that. So it's like trying to suggest that like understand the bigger repercussion for your action. Yeah. But I just think I mean, this is not like a super novel thought on my part, but I was just thinking that like, I think people kind of automatically their knee-jerk thing is like, intelligence is whatever, being good at calculus or being able to like retain facts about history or whatever. And I just think that that's not like a really true mark of it. It's just this idea of being able to contextualize what is in front of you and the decisions that you're making and the way that you're thinking about the world within the context of the kind of the greater world in terms of, these multiple orders of cause and effect, So
no, honestly, it was a really interesting article, and the other one that you sent about second order effects, just like they were giving examples like using Google Maps. You never get lost, but then if your phone dies, you have no idea how to get around, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And just I mean, which. I don't know. I mean, I think that we live in a time of relying on digital shit entirely too much, and I think that it's making us dumber as a society, to be perfectly candid with you. But
well, I've got an article for next week talking about that. So
oh really? Okay. Well, then we won't go into
how we may or may not be getting dumber. But But anyway, so that is all I have, my friend.
Yeah, dude. I think we're sitting at like 56 minutes or something like that. So I think we're good. I think we're good to go. So this has been Tether Radio, and I'm Daniel.
I'm Joseph.
And we thank you for coming and joining us for this fun little discussion, and hope you join us next week. And I guess without further ado, take it easy, Space Cadets. Stay spacey.